But he said, I don't think he could win. I don't think he could win. He's too progressive coming from this state and what he's done in this state to win in any southern state, any red state. I disagreed, but no, this is a progressive African-American owned station, and I'm sure they like you, but he doesn't think you can win. What do you say to that?
It's one thing to toss sarcasm at your favorite politician, but it's another to roast him like a Thanksgiving turkey on live TV. And that's exactly what Bill Maher just cooked up. Maher's never hidden his soft spot for Gavin Newsom, but even he seems done with the governor's never-ending carnival act and finally dropped the gloves. On a recent episode of his show, the comedian and host shredded Newsom for his catastrophic leadership of California. And wow, it was savage.
Gavin Newsom is the governor of California, home to 12% of all Americans and 50% of all Mexicans. On the upside, Newsom is the only governor, with the possible exception of Kristi Noem, who looks like they could do porn.
Did Bill Maher really just claim that Gavin Newsom's greatest legacy is looking like he belongs in the adult film industry? That's not just a cheap shot. That's a full-on haymaker from someone who once fawned over him. Picture being the governor of one of the most powerful states in America only to have your top achievement reduced to having the face and apparently the vibe of an X-rated star. Out of all the bragging rights Newsom waves around, Maher boiled it down to a career path straight out of parody. And that says everything about just how badly California has been run when your loudest cheerleader turns into your roast master. That's a political version of circling the toilet bowl.
I don't want to say... I don't want to say he really wants to be the guy who steps in if the current nominee goes down, but he gets an alert on his phone every time Biden can't think of a word. The downside is that governor of California is kind of like being conservator for Britney Spears. They'll attack him on California's homeless problem, but there's a response to that. The homeless can live anywhere, but they choose California.
The truth is, California has basically rolled out a VIP package for the homeless. Why wouldn't they head there? The state's laws make it comfy and convenient, building a paradise where they are not just tolerated, but practically celebrated. But let's be real, this isn't compassion, it's straight-up chaos. Under Gavin Newsom, homelessness hasn't just risen, it's gone supernova. Instead of fighting the crisis with real hard-nosed solutions, his policies fuel it, turning sidewalks into tent cities and entire neighborhoods into outdoor shelters. And it doesn't stop there. His soft-on-crime approach, forever leaning toward criminals over victims, has stoked California's crime wave. Break the law and you'll probably walk away with nothing more than a stern eyebrow raise. Homelessness up, crime up, quality of life down. That, ladies and gentlemen, is Newsom's legacy. Gift-wrapped.
Of course, the knock on Gavin has always been that he's slick. Yeah, you know what? I'm okay with that. I notice slick is something no one has been accusing Biden of lately. Do you want good at talking or don't you? Newsom is the best communicator in the party with a history of standing up to bullies, and his name lends itself to the best slogan since I Like Ike. I'm having Gavin.
Finally, Bill Maher says out loud what Californians have been muttering for years. Gavin Newsom is just a slick salesman in a designer suit. He's polished, smoothing, and charismatic enough to sell sand in the desert. But peel back the shine and you get nothing. Newsom has perfected the art of speaking in circles. An Olympic-level rambler who spins long, glittery speeches that duck tough questions and hide his failures. Sure, he can wow a crowd with charm, but charm doesn't solve exploding homelessness, rising crime, or tanking quality of life. He's a pro at dodging accountability with pre-packaged lines. But let's be real, is that leadership or just a Broadway audition? Do Californians really want a governor who promises the stars yet delivers crumbs? People deserve solutions, not sound bites. And if even Maher wants his biggest hype man is tearing him down, maybe the rest of the country should grab some popcorn and start paying attention.
I was on KBLA yesterday, with my friend Tavis Smiley. I'm an investor and a supporter of that station. And he said, who do you want for running president? I mentioned, I think you'd be good at the job. Not this year, we know. No, I know. But he said, I don't think he could win. I don't think he could win. He's too progressive coming from this state and what he's done in this state to win in any southern state, any red state. I disagreed, but no, this is a progressive African-American owned station, and I'm sure they like you, but he doesn't think you.
Anyone with a pulse knows Gavin Newsom's presidential chances are about as real as a diet pizza. Non-existent. Not after the messes made of California. His record is such a train wreck that not even the slickest PR spin can Photoshop it away. Across the state, people are fed up, loudly venting about how low is dragged the Golden State. Once a crown jewel of innovation, business, and prosperity, California is now the place companies escape from like at a bad time share. Big businesses have bailed, hauling jobs and opportunities with them, while wealthy names have also skipped town, unwilling to bankroll his reckless economic experiments. Pile on a crumbling middle class and cost of living soaring like SpaceX. And it's no wonder the California exodus is smashing records. And here's the plot twist. Even plenty of Democrats think he's jumped the shark. When voters on the far left start calling you too progressive, your White House dreams aren't just shaky. They are already buried.
Look at the swing states. There's only 8 of them.
Right. Well, I mean, California is an interesting case study, isn't it? It's the size of 21 state populations combined.
Yeah.
2/3 of the state is very deeply red. We don't need to be lectured on rural politics or border issues. I mean, in so many ways, these are familiar issues, and the issues of the heartland of the United States are very much a part and parcel of the work we're doing in this state. But look, I understand this notion that you're from the coast, you don't understand those things. You can't talk the language. You're not able to communicate.
No, it's stuff like there's a new law in this. I think we have way too many regulations and laws, as we've talked about. And this one, I think, says if you're a department store with over 500 employees, you have to have a gender-neutral toy department.
Yeah. Hey, Bill Maher nails it perfectly. What's sinking Gavin Newsom isn't just a homeless crisis or the economic nosedive. It's the non-stop woke parade he's been leading with a megaphone. Voters coast to coast are over having identity politics crammed into every corner of daily life. And unwhelmingly, California has become the epicenter of that circus. The state turns out some of the wokest laws in the country. Maher highlighted one of the most laughable. Any toy store with more than 500 employees must have a gender-neutral section. Because apparently in Newsom's California, kids can't just play with toys. They need to issue a political press release while doing it. As if the whole concept of gender simply vanished into thin air. It's this kind of tone-deaf policymaking that makes everyday voters roll their eyes and think, yeah, this guy is president. Not happening.
Too much government there.
That's an interesting one because the department stores came to us supporting that. And they were the ones making a case for that. They were making a case, they're already moving in that direction.
Wanted you to make a law about them?
Well, but they supported the legislation. It wasn't legislation that was enacted, that was initiated from my office, but it was legislation that came up with interesting support from the industry itself. But I understand how that's exploited, and good people can disagree. But that's not something we woke up and said, this is a top priority for the state, when we know the top priorities are homelessness, housing, the issues of crime, quality of life, and issues related to regulation and taxes, which are all top of mind.
Too much government. Too much government there. Look, that's an interesting one because the department stores came to us supporting that, and they're the ones making a case for that. They were making guess they're already moving in that direction. Why did you make a law about them? Well, they supported the legislation. It wasn't legislation that was enacted that was initiated from my office, but it was legislation that came up with interesting support from the industry itself. But I understand how that exploited. Good people can disagree, but that's not something we woke up and said, this is a top priority for the state when we know the top priority is the homeless, housing, the issues of crime, quality of life, and issues related to regulation and taxes, which are all top of mind.
Good job this year making it rain.
You're welcome.
That was
my legislative priority.
It was looking bad there for a while, and we still don't have enough water in the Colorado River and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then whenever I read 80% of the water goes to agriculture. Almonds.
Right.
No one ever asked you about almonds? Oh, I'm going to ask you about almonds.
And that right there is his smooth talk specialty, the oldest trick in the politician's playbook. Nobody's saying Gavin Newsom is clueless about California's problems. Of course, he knows. Everybody knows. Homelessness is out of control. Crime is climbing in the big cities. Taxes are suffocating. And businesses are fleeing the state faster than tourists after an earthquake. These aren't secrets. They are front-page news every day. The issue isn't awareness, it's action. Knowing your house is on fire doesn't make you a hero. It's picking up the hose and dousing the flames that counts. Yet Newsom hide behind glossy speeches and catchy buzzwords, pretending that simply recognizing a disaster equals leadership. Spoiler, it doesn't. Words don't build affordable housing, cut crime, or fix a broken budget. Action does. And California's still waiting, staring at the smoke.
1,900 gallons to grow a pound of almonds. Yeah. Come on, man. Take on Big Almond.
Take on Big Almond.
I mean, it's not like we don't have the water.
No. You're right about it. It's not that we don't have the water. That said, the last couple of years were tough. I mean, but it's also where the water's falling and we're not capturing it. And we're not capturing those extreme years with these atmospheric rivers. Wets are getting a lot wetter, dry's drier, hot's getting a lot hotter. And so we've got to modernize our conveyance system. We've got to modernize our storage, not just above ground, but below ground. And so that's a big part of our focus and frame, including desalination plants. We have 20 projects just on desal that we're working on today. So we put out a detailed water strategy.
Yep, you heard that right. Nearly 80% of California's water gets guzzled by agriculture. And a giant slice of that flood goes into, you guessed it, almonds. Let that sink in. This is a state famous for droughts, where wildfires torch the landscape every summer, where residents are scolded to skip showers and let their lawns die for the greater good. Meanwhile, behind the curtain, billions of gallons are being funneled straight into almond orchards. Why? Because almonds are California's golden cash cow, or rather cash nut, and Big has a political muscle to keep the water flowing like it's an open bar. So, while everyday Californians are told to ration like it's the end of days, corporate farms are chugging down the state's lifeline. The irony, in a land of fire and thirst, California's water isn't saving people. It's just growing nuts.
I don't want to live in the Civil War country.
I agree with that.
You know what? But you seem like you purposely want to set up this dichotomy between, this is a blue state and that's a red state. Yeah. And I don't want to live in that country. I like Florida.
I'm with you. And by the way, I like Florida as well. I like all these states. I completely agree. I don't want to have a state of mind that's a constant fight or flight. We've gone through so much. We've been polarized and traumatized. There's been a tough 5-6 years across the globe, not just in this country. That said, I'm not going to sit back and watch. You made the point just a moment ago in your monologue. You got folks out there trying to bring us back to a pre-1960s world. America in reverse, rolling back voting rights, LGBTQ rights, women's rights, not just access to abortion, but contraception.